Hey, 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 this is Mary at Mary Unapologetic. It's been 2 weeks and I invited Noah from Dent and obviously Kenny. You've been I think you've been on one of my podcasts too, right, Kenny? This
Correct,
is
I
your
have.
second time.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, exactly. So here's the thing. This episode is such a special episode. Normally I just do it and my followers will just watch it as Mary Unapologetic. But since this has something to do with our industry, I figured I'll go ahead and put it on PDR interview too. So anyone who's like, it's got a questions about insurance, then they'll know, right? Because we have a lot of small business owners now in the industry. It's kind of changed since Mike and I started our business in 2001. But anyways, without further ado, let me go ahead introduce Noah Hebert, and I hope I pronounced that right, Noah.
Yeah, you nailed it.
Okay, cool. And Kenny Mitchum. Go ahead, introduce yourself, boys.
Sure. You want to go first, Kenny?
All right, yeah, I'll go first. My name is Kenny Mitchum, out of Charleston, South Carolina. I own the Charleston Dent Company, and we do paintless dent removal. And we have been very, very blessed and very successful in this area. So I'll leave it up to you now, Noah.
Nice. My name's Noah Hebert. I'm the founder of the company Dent which we basically right now we translate estimates from Mobile Tech RX or DentMate into CCC1, and we help to find any missing money just kind of in the process and make it a much easier negotiation process with insurance companies and help you ask for things that you probably didn't even know that you might need to ask for. So we're able to get shops a lot of money and just make it a lot faster process. So that's what we do right now. We're kind of expanding into some other PDR business offerings as well, but that's kind of some more future stuff.
Mm-hmm. Before we start, I don't know, Noah. I mean, I have a question for you. Do you run into like people in our industry, small business owners, as far as like, hey, if I'm gonna file a claim with the insurance company, well, I guess this is more towards the PDR, okay? Because like there's a difference
Mhm.
between the hail company and PDR, right? Or hail
Definitely.
claim and the PDR. Because your service can be also applied for PDR. So have you ever come across someone asking you, how do I actually file the claim by doing the PDR work rather than the hail? Because I think it's probably more easier to do it with hail rather than the PDR. Do you
It's
understand?
actually, yeah,
Or is
yeah.
it
I
the
think
other
I
way
understand
around?
your question. It's the same. So just our terminology we use is like hail and retail. So you have a retail shop and you're doing retail dents. That might be like deer hits. It might be just like bashes on a bedside or stuff like that. And so really the process is the same between both of them. Going
Uh-huh.
through with the insurance company, there's not really any difference between a hail insurance claim and a retail insurance, except that maybe with a hail claim, if it's like a heavy hit area, you might be dealing with what's called a CAT team or a catastrophe team with the insurance company.
Mm-hmm.
And then in that case, they're a little bit more trained to, depending on your perspective, maybe fight against higher repair estimates on the side of the insurance company.
Mm-hmm.
Because they kind of like the hail chasers. They travel around the country and do it more for the benefit of the insurance company than for the repair facility. So it's pretty much the same process though. And it's scary for people who haven't done it before.
Mm-hmm.
But once you do like an insurance claim once or twice, you'll realize that it's actually a fairly straightforward process. It doesn't always feel like it sometimes because there's a lot of maybe negotiation or back and forth that happens, but it's a fairly clear process, at least, that nobody
Mm-hmm.
really needs to be scared of. It's a really good opportunity actually to
Mm-hmm.
increase your revenue.
Now, let me ask you something. The reason why I invited you because you're going to be speaking for Mega Media event, and you're going to go, deep. Like we're going to talk about this in depth in our event. So,
Mhm.
Kenny, I know you're coming to our Mega Media event, so these are the stuff that we're going to cover. You know what I mean?
Correct.
Probably we're going to go more in depth. Now, my question to you, though, Noah, is that for the PDR, I guess for the PDR companies, you know what I mean? When they're, let's say they have a customer, and then the customer, you gave them an estimate. Obviously, it's a big estimate, between 6 to 1,000 or more. So my question is, because you can use this for your sales strategy, you know what I'm saying?
Definitely.
How does, or maybe you have spoken to some of these small business owners in our industry. I mean, how do they use it to sell it to the customer? I mean, you have to know
Yeah.
some kind of a background about insurance, how the whole insurance, process works, in order for you to have some kind of a strategy on how to sell it to your customer who's hesitant to file a claim.
Sure. Yeah, definitely. A big part of that comes back to, well, you can get into a lot of things actually on selling a customer. So we probably don't want to get into all of them because we could talk for a long time about it. But
Mhm,
ultimately, when it comes to selling a customer on filing a claim for insurance, at
mhm,
the end of the day, it comes down to, like you said, a bigger estimate. You're giving the customer a different option other than paying out of pocket
mhm,
for that, to get the repairs done on their vehicle. Because the
mhm,
reality is, a lot of people, a lot of individuals might only have a $500 deductible.
mhm,
Then some in the hail prone in areas, we see a lot of thousand, even $2,000 deductibles. But areas especially that don't see a lot of hail, or if you're in a small town that you're like, man, I can't remember the last time we got hail, especially not like
mhm,
this.
mhm,
Um, you'll see a lot lower deductibles. And just the reality is, it's like, if you can convey to the customer, like, say on $1,000 repair estimate,
mhm,
it's $1,000 to fix this car. If you don't want to come out of pocket on that, though, this might be a really good candidate for filing an insurance claim.
mhm,
And in that case, it would just come down to whatever your deductible is. If your deductible is $500, then you're essentially getting this $1,000 repair done for
mhm,
$500 versus $1,000. There's a host of things that can kind of come up in conversation after that. Like,
mhm,
for example, the customer not wanting to file an insurance claim, because like a lot of people these days kind of carry that, oh man, I haven't filed an insurance claim in 5 years or 10 years or 20 years or whatever it is, like it's a
mhm.
badge of honor. But the answer to that would probably be like, well, I mean, why do you pay a premium? You pay a premium for situations like
Yeah,
this so that you
yeah,
can get it repaired if your car gets damaged. So
yeah.
but generally speaking, I've heard a lot of people that are kind of almost afraid, or are wondering, like, what's the silver bullet to getting an insurance claim or getting somebody to do an insurance claim? And it's really kind of like how you would sell anything else, like how you'd sell any other repairs. This is the price, and here are your options, for you to come up with, to get
Mhm,
that vehicle repaired. Either that $1,000 out of pocket, or maybe $500 if that's your deductible, and
mhm.
we can run it as an insurance claim. So.
Yeah. Most what I came across with is that most deductible is really high now. If you have like a
Mm.
$300 deductible, which I do because I have a good driving record, knock on
Mhm.
wood. You don't want to jinx it. So, anyways, and because I have a good driving record, and then the company that I'm with is also good, then my
Mhm.
deductible is 300. But it's unheard of. Well, it's not unheard of. It's very, very few people would have a $300 deductible here in
Mhm.
California. Normally, it's 500, 600, or 800, depending how much premium they want to pay monthly, right?
Yep.
But here's the thing, folks. For those people that are listening to us tonight, when you are in this business and you're trying to convince a customer to, hey, file a claim, it's kind of hard because there's a perception there that if they file a claim, they're like, oh, my insurance will go up.
Yeah.
That is true. But most people who carry insurance, they have comprehensive in all the
Mhm.
states. You know what I mean? Because here's the thing, if you are leasing your car or if you borrow a loan for your car, they require you to have comprehensive. So if you have comprehensive, then you can sell it to your customer that, hey,
Mhm.
you can, especially if it's a non-moving violation, right? Because it's only against you by, like, I don't know, a point or two, depending, how big of an accident it is. It's only against you if, and it's only going to go up if your accident is a moving violation. But if it's a non-moving violation, then you can use your comprehensive. Like what you said, Noah, the reason why we pay premium is so that way, if something happens to our car, whether it's a moving violation or a non-moving violation, it can get repaired without having to fork
Mhm.
out the big lump sum of money for the repair, correct? Now,
Yep.
now, what about you, Kenny? What's your deductible? I mean, did you know anything about this before tonight?
I did not. I think my deductible was like $500, and
Mm-hmm.
I didn't, before recently, we started doing a lot of insurance claims. I didn't really understand the difference between comprehensive claims, but as I started to dive into it, I started to do a little bit more research, and recognized what is comprehensive and what is not. And so
Mm-hmm.
a lot of customers, whenever whenever you even mention, hey, do you want to file this under your insurance, they
Mm-hmm.
automatically shut down and say, hey, no, I want to pay for it out of pocket, which then you have to have some type of selling, in you to
Tactics, yeah.
say, hey, it's not as bad as you think, and
Mm-hmm.
and so that's why you pay insurance, is to for that
Yeah.
reason,
Yeah.
Mhm.
I mean, if you think about it, if you're an insurance company and you have like what, millions of insured customers, and each of them pay, let's say, 1,000, that's a lot of money. And if you never file a claim, and back in the old days, if you look at it, there's a culture of okay, I'm a good driver, like what you just saying, Noah. I think in your area probably, or maybe in the Midwest, they still like pride themselves for not filing a claim because they have like that badge, oh, I'm a good driver. But
Mhm.
when you're in a big city, or a city like where we at, um accidents happen all the time, or sometimes even like a door ding, right? Like,
Mhm.
our parking spots here is really small because it's like we have a lot of people here. You know what I mean? It's a very
Mhm.
populous city. So the parking spots get smaller and smaller and smaller, and it's easy to ding a car. So, or even like elderly people, when they're trying to pull out of the parking lot, and somehow they would swipe your, maybe your bumper or your quarter panel, or maybe your door. So a repair that could be that big, that would cost between 600 to more than 1,000, they can file that. I have customers sometimes, I believe, even early on, they said, hey, I have a dent, and then I give them an estimate, and the estimate is like, oh, I didn't expect it to be this steep. But here's the thing. Do you know who hit you? Well, no, they didn't leave any notes. Well, you can file a claim with your insurance,
Mhm.
because you can say, I went to the store, came back, and there's a dent on my car. So that's going to be under comprehensive. The question is, if you file a claim under comprehensive, right? Your comprehensive coverage, would that go on record? Yes, it would, I think, in most states, but it's not going to make your insurance go up because
Mhm.
it's a non-moving violation. You know what I mean? And
And
Yeah,
I
then
think,
and
and
and it's
automatically when
subjective
you
too.
sorry, automatically when you mention insurance, want to file an insurance claim, they
they get scared.
automatically assume, yes, man, they get scared. Oh, my insurance going to go up.
Mhm.
Hey, man, calm down. It's not that bad,
Yeah. And actually, not all claims get affect your premium either. Especially if anybody who travels and does any hail, or travel and still does hail or anything,
Hmm.
you'll know that like anything that's considered like an act of God or an act of nature
Hmm.
is not supposed to. That's the kind of the caveat. It's not supposed to affect your insurance premium, but the way that that can affect your insurance premium is insurance company sees that this entire area just got all these claims running through them, and now
Uh-huh.
they say, oh, we have to basically do another survey of this particular area, and then kind of all the rates end up going up. But that's not something that you can affect or change, like as a consumer, as a vehicle owner. But if it's an act of God or an act of nature, like say a tree limb or something
Hmm.
falls and puts a dent in your car, and it can be repaired via paintless dent repair, filing an insurance claim on that should not affect your premiums at all.
Hmm. Yeah, because I mean, the accident happens while your car is parked. It's not moving. You
Hmm.
know what I mean? Now,
Hmm.
here's the thing. I think what we need to kind of like explain here is what falls under the comprehensive coverage. Well, I have a note here. Usually, it's like fire, storm, theft, damage, animal damage, and falling objects. So those are what's under comprehensive coverage. Now, here's the thing: most of us, when we, especially probably our parents or even our grandparents, when because it's just like it's our culture. When we ask for or when we ask for coverage, we usually do full coverage. So if we have a
Mhm.
full coverage, that means you have comprehensive, liability, and collision. So those are the three different ones that you can research on, and then from there you can figure out, oh, okay. So I mean, you have to know this so that way you can explain this to your customer and you can like educate
Yeah.
them, because there's a
Yeah.
fear of, oh, my insurance premium's going to go up if I file a claim. So that's why I think the first thing we need to first determine is which one would this fall under, and would it fall under collision, liability, or is it like comprehensive? If it's a like I said, if it's a non-moving violation, it's going to be comprehensive. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
um
Yeah, that
uh,
also definitely helps you to qualify your customers too as a business because you always want to be doing that.
Mm.
Doesn't make sense to have the conversation with somebody who like it wouldn't even be a solution for them.
mhm. Now here's the thing too, and these are the things that I have seen or experienced in the past. Some people, if it's like a collision, let's say it's a collision accident, right? Some people, they'll file a claim, but then they won't get their car repaired. Now, folks, if you guys
Mhm.
do that, you are I think you're like, ugh, I try not to say bad word, okay? But with me, I have to pick the right word. um I'm just gonna say it. If the folks out there, whether it's small business owners, or let's say anyone who's listening to this episode, if you guys don't get your car repaired, really you're screwing yourself. I didn't want to use that word, but there's no I can't think of proper way of saying it without saying that word. The only reason why you should get your car repaired when you file a claim right away is because two things. For one, you know that your car eventually will need repair, right? No matter what, whether it's 6 months from now or a year from now, you're going to get it repaired. But if you don't get it repaired the minute that the, I mean, the minute that you file a claim, then when you actually wait, let's say 3 months or 4 months to get it repaired, it's kind of hard to have the body shop negotiate for the full coverage as far as your repair, because you waited that grace period. What's going to happen is that it's better to get it repaired right away, because I know some people, they will just pocket the money and they'll fix the car later. But if you do that, you're kind of like really screwing yourself. So
Right.
because eventually, especially if you want to get it repaired, and then you're just like buying time and say, oh, I'm gonna fix it maybe 3 months or 6 months from now. That's not what you want to do, because
Right.
when you wait that long, the body shop cannot negotiate and say, hey, this is not a $2,000 repair. This is a $4,000 repair.
Hmm.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So then now what happens? You're either going to have to come up with the money, to pay for that full pop, or I don't know,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah. That's definitely my opinion is definitely either one or the other. Like you either get fixed and to get it fixed like ASAP,
Mm-hmm.
or you're not going to get it fixed and you're just pocketing the money, which especially with hail, we see a ton of people do that. And we
Mm-hmm.
actually try to take advantage a little bit more of we have in some operations done what we call like a max cash program. And it's basically like, listen, if you're going to bring the car here, you don't need to pretend like you're not going to fix this thing, because some insurance companies will say, go get an estimate. Don't pretend like you're not going to fix it. If you don't want to fix it, we can help you at least get paid what you need to get paid out of it. And but we're going to
Mm-hmm.
charge you an estimating fee in order to do that. So that's just kind of an interesting side note. But yeah, I totally agree. Some of those people will just kick it down the road, and then they're like, "Oh, but the insurance company paid me $2,000. I didn't realize this was going to cost $5,000 to actually fix this thing. I already spent the money."
Yeah.
Right.
So,
And the longer they wait, the more life gets in the way, and so the more that they're
mhm.
more prone to spend that money.
Uh-huh.
And then once the money's gone, then they're most definitely probably not going to get it fixed.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
Yeah.
SOL.
Yeah. Now, as far as let's say a customer comes in, and then you know um, it's a insurance claim. how do you walk us through, like just a rundown? I mean, you don't have to go deep into this, Noah. How does the process works with you? Let's say my company wants to hire you. I mean, do you actually advocate for us, or you just help us with the paperwork and then we have to advocate for ourselves? Can you like walk us through this?
Sure. We're getting ready to launch what we call our claims management program
Mm-hmm.
to like some of our existing partners. We're going to prioritize the ones who do the most estimates with us first to just really make sure that it goes well,
Mm-hmm.
and make sure it's really good before we kind of have a mass market solution. But as of right now, and what we did all last year, and throughout the off season, just the wintertime and everything, is we take your estimates that most PDR companies write their estimates in Mobile Tech RX, and then we also accept Dent made estimates, and we end up translating those into CCC1. And the
Mm-hmm.
reason that that's important is because the vast majority of insurance companies use CCC1
Mm-hmm.
for their estimates. It's what they're used to. When they get anything other than a CCC estimate, or maybe Auditex or Mitchell, which are just a couple of other estimating softwares,
Mm-hmm.
more for body shops. When they get anything other than those, a lot of times the adjusters like, I don't even know what to do with this. Their numbers that they get from PDR companies, whether it's price dents, matrix dents, whatever, it doesn't match up with what they're seeing in their system in CCC1, and they have to like figure out how to make it work, how to make it jive.
Mm-hmm.
And they're not incentivized to do that in your favor, I guess I should say. So
Mm-hmm.
if they see that you marked something as like whatever size dent, they're going to be like, I don't even have an option for that in my system. I'm just going to throw on a few body hours and kick it back to you, and it's going to be way under what you were asking for. And they're not going to add a whole bunch of extra stuff like R&Is or additional required operations. That's what we help with. So we do almost the same thing the insurance company's doing, but from the perspective of the PDR company, to make sure that we get everything that you're really owed for a proper repair on it, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
So that does that answer your question? It was like, where do we fall into
Mm-hmm.
that process with
Mm-hmm.
insurance?
So once you basically translate that, then is it the company the one who forwards this to the insurance company, or do you have
Yes.
something to do with that too?
So as of right now, we get your estimate and we're hands off with the insurance company. We don't do anything with them. We say, hey, we're going to get this written the way it needs to. We're going
Hmm.
to make sure your company's name is on it. It's got your labor rates, your tax rates, all your
Yeah.
business information on it. And by the way, here's all the pictures that you sent us. Here's some of the OEM procedures and all the good stuff to help justify the things that are written on the estimate. Now it's up to you. We give that to you in this nice, pretty Google Drive folder with everything. And
Mm-hmm.
then you're able to take all those files and send them to the insurance company like any normal claim that you would typically do. But like I said, we're getting ready. We've been working on for the last couple of months, and
Mm-hmm.
we're getting ready to launch kind of like a beta test of our claims management. And what that looks like is basically we'll hand you back the estimate. You'll have the opportunity to review that estimate and approve it, and
Mm-hmm.
then say, hey, by the way, DenOps, we want you to now manage this claim. And then we're just going to say, okay, cool. You approve the estimate. We're going to
Mm-hmm.
fire it off to insurance. We're going to follow up with them, negotiate with them until we get within X percentage at least
Mm-hmm.
over however long of a period of time that we set as kind of like our criteria. Because anybody who's much with insurance claims knows that sometimes they can take a while. So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, being able
Well,
to take over that is
I, li- I
ultimately what we want to do.
I like that idea. When you're giving your customers an option, okay?
Hmm.
And in this case, the customers are like the industry, you're right? The
Yes.
people who are like dealing with this kind of stuff. So I like the option that you give them, that you have two options. This is one option and this is the other option, because I
Hmm.
think in order for you to deal with insurance companies, you have to have your A game on. If you don't have to have your A game on, they see you. The minute you
Hmm.
start talking, they're already reading you. And when they're
Hmm.
reading you, they're like, okay, this is easy to sway this way. No, but then when they deal with me, oh, she knows what she's talking about. How am I going to convince her to that? I actually had
Hmm.
a perfect example was, I believe it's like a month and a half ago, and I did a podcast a little bit about this. Like, there was there was an insurance company saying, no, 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 I'm not approving the whole amount because that. And then so I was talking to him, and then we went back and forth, and then finally I said, you know what, Mike, you need to talk to him. So I was there, we did a conference call. It was like a three-way thing. So I was listening to Mike and this guy talking, and they're going back and forth, blah, 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 blah. And then I had to like, interject myself because I said, look, we're not going anywhere with this. I'll deal with this, Mike, I'll deal with this because, when you put two men in a conversation and one doesn't want to back down, what do you think happens, huh? It's two
Squaring
people
up.
going, and then I'm just like the referee. So finally I said, I'll deal with it, Mike. And I have never seen Mike lose his temper. Normally he does it. But in this case, I can tell the guy is not ready to back down, the insurance adjuster. And he was just like, I can tell because he's like experienced for one thing. And the way he's taking trying to take the conversation, leading it, and then, the rebuttal that's going back and forth. I'm like, oh my gosh, okay, this is not how we're gonna like deal with this. So what my advice is, do your homework. You need to find out, you can get this information from your customers. When she opened up the claim and filed the claim, who is the claim adjuster? Who's the contact people? You need to start jotting down who are these people, And even when you call and follow up, you need to start jotting down who are the people that you're talking to. Also, pay attention to what they're saying. Write a note, The reason being is because I think nowadays, compared to what it was back then, every time you call the insurance company, you think you're, reaching the same person. From my experience, it's not. Every time I call them, depending on even if they have an extension number, I'll call and then they say, oh, so and so. Well, last week it was a different person. Like 2 days ago, it's a different person. And I think this is one of the tactics that they do because what it is that back in the old days, we kind of promote, okay, you're dealing with me and you're only going to deal with me. So that way I know your story, then you don't have to deal with the headaches, right? Well, now they want to give you the headache. So you'll give up. You know what I mean? Because if you give up, then there's no payment that's going to be, endorsed here. So that's what I'm saying. You have to keep jotting down information, like who you're talking to, what's the conversation is about. So that way you can hold them accountable. There are times that I'm like, wait a minute, I talked to somebody and they said they're going to do this. And now you're telling me a different story. You can easily say it like that. You know what I mean?
Right.
And it's within appropriate, it's or your rights. It's within your rights and it's appropriate to hold them accountable. I think also in the past, I think it was last summer, I came across someone who I don't know. It's like every time I called, it was like a different person. And then they have the way this insurance company works is that they hired like another company, like a third party to deal with us. Then they also have claim adjusters that was like part of this. So there was too many people involved. And when you have too many people involved, it's hard for us to like get some answers, right? For us business owners who's trying to get this claim approved so we can start the work. And believe it or not, there are some claim that it took like, I think 5 to 6 weeks. And Mike was like saying, give up, Mary. I'm like, hell no, I'm not giving up. I'm going to get this approved because I promised that customer it's going to get approved. And luckily the customer is like, at the time was like forgiving too and understanding, because if I'm not getting anywhere, I'm having her do the calling, the following up, because they have more leverage to negotiate due to that they are the customers, right?
Right.
Especially if it's the insurance insured customers, because they're in a contract together. They're paying the premium. So the insurance have to take care of them no matter what.
Right. And if I can say something, Noah, I think that this business that you guys have come up with, this business model is genius, because us as PDR companies, most, I'd say probably 90% of us don't have CCC, in our back pocket. And so What it does is it gives us another tool in our toolbox. And most of the time, if you don't have CCC, you're not speaking their language. And so, they have the power pretty much. You know what I mean? I mean, we have, mobile tech, which is, really propelled the industry really, really far from where it used to be. But I think that your business and your business model will take it to the next level, because it gives us, it gives us a little bit more power, I feel like.
Yeah, no, I really appreciate that. And I love that you said a tool in your toolbox, because most of the time PDR guys and PDR companies, when they hear tool, they think of like the pushing tool and everything, but they don't think about their business tools, which at the end of the day, more and more of us are becoming business owners and business people, and maybe less and less actual technicians. So that's really awesome. I appreciate it a lot, Kenny.
Yeah.
That's what I actually, when we had a conversation, Noah, I said this to you, and I said, this is the genius. Well, one thing, you're the only one that's doing it. You know what I mean? And I like that. I like that it's like a breath of fresh air. The idea, the creativity, you were the first one to tap into this. And it's good, and not only that, the more business owners we have in the industry, they don't have the experience, or maybe some of them might be intimidated to deal with insurance companies, especially if you're dealing with claim adjusters that are savvy and very experienced.
Yeah.
And
Some of them.
when you mean, like, some of the claim adjusters that are savvy?
Some of them are savvy and have a lot of experience, but some of them are not. And those are the ones that you really want to deal with, are the ones that are not as savvy and as experienced. So yeah, this is just a side note.
Well, I've dealt with both, but the ones that I'm scared of is the one that's like savvy, because for you to convince that person to approve this claim, they're gonna like steer you around, beat around the bush, you know what I mean? And even with that, if they're playing hardball, they're not gonna give you the full payment, the full amount. They're just gonna say nope. Like, for like that guy that Mike had a thing with, they're going back and forth, and he was adamant. He said, no, I'm not giving you the full payment, the full amount. It was short like $200. But then by that time, I'm like, is it really worth it to fight the $200?
Yeah.
Back and forth? It's not worth my time and my sanity. So I'm like, I mean, our estimate anyway is already higher, right? Because we did this, da 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 da. So compared to like non-insurance claim versus this, then I'm like, I'm okay with it. You know what I mean? You have to pick and choose your battle sometimes. But there are other times that I had to like, no, I'm not backing down. I'm going to like get the full amount for this. And that actually, by the way, was when I think when Noah and I, remember, we spoke about insurance, and I told you the story that I had to I had to file a small claim and sue the insured person to get to
not
the
the insurance company, the insured person.
The insured person to get to her insurance, because her insurance wouldn't pay for my repair, but even though she was 100% at fault. And so
what did you do? Did you keep the car until she paid, I guess?
Yeah, I was driving around. It was like our RAV4. It's a Dent time car. I was driving around with that thing damaged. And to tell you the truth, Mike was like, I'm not driving that. We are supposed to be in the Dent business, and it's got the damaged door. So I'm not driving that. I'm like, fine with me. I'll drive it. I don't have a problem with it, because I didn't want it to get it repaired until they say, okay, it's time to pay for your repair. What they said was, Mary, and they were so very tricky about this, because I was expecting for them to pay for my full repair, since that it was her fault. She broke a law here in California. It was like simple. It was, it's like black and white. There's nothing in between. But when they called me and say, no, the road is 50%, like 50-50. It's your responsibility to be safe and her responsibility. So we're going to only pay 50%. And I'm like, no, 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 no. It can't be 50-50. She hit me, and
Right.
this is the law that she broke, and I even had it. I pulled it out. So when I went to the court, I had everything, all the documents, because I'm ready to win. And I won. And then so because she wouldn't take my calls after her insurance gave her an advice, don't take Mary's call. In the beginning, she was cooperative. And then by the time she talked to her insurance, she wouldn't take any of my calls. So to get to her, I had to sue her. And then after I sued her, I said, look, you are in a contract with an insurance company. You should hold them accountable. Then that's when finally they listened to us and then got my car repaired. Yeah, so
Nice.
they're gonna try to do all the tricks that you can think of, and there's so many of them. So that's why I said you got to play the game. If you don't know how to play the
Yeah.
game, and
Right.
I even found out, and I told Noah about this, you can't sue any insurance companies.
Really?
You cannot sue them.
Wow.
You cannot sue them because they're protected. So, but if you want to file a claim, you can file a claim. If you want to file, not a claim, a complaint. If you want to file a complaint, you can call and find out if you have in your state. It's called insurance commissioner. So, like for yes, so
Okay.
because no matter what, the public always have an option to be protected, and the government will always make sure that consumer have access to that. So when I during the process that I was researching this, I found out that there's a commissioner for insurance, because I said there is no way I can't sue them if they're at fault. To me it's about
Yeah. Every
principle.
state has one.
Yeah,
Hmm.
to me it's about principle. So that's why I came across that. Yeah. So now here's the thing. OEM. I think Noah's smiling. OEM for body shops. Okay. So when a customer takes the car to a body shop rather than to a company, to us, well, usually the repair, they don't, if they're going to replace parts, they're not going to replace parts that are come from manufacturer, right? It's
Hmm.
like the cheap one. So,
Hmm.
but with the insurance company, like for example, I have my red eye. When I got when I insured it, I asked for coverage that if I somehow got into an accident, then I have to take it to a full body shop. That I request that I want my parts to be replaced, like a parts that's the expensive one, not the cheap one. You know what I
The
mean?
OEMs. Yeah.
Yeah, the OEM. So
Hmm.
now you guys can use that even when you're trying to convince the customer. You can use that as your selling point right there. Because PDR,
Hmm.
you know what I'm saying? When we do PDR, yes, it's not going to be 100% what it was before, because there's no such thing. But at
Right.
least we can make it like 85 to 90, right? But you have to
Hmm.
make sure that you're good at what you do as far as taking dents out. Because if you overpromise and underdeliver, then there goes your credibility. There goes your brand. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. The whole OEM parts thing is huge, like in the collision side of things too. I follow a lot of like the collision body shop pages and
Mhm.
everything, because there's just so much PDR and is moving so much more and more into like that kind of world where we're fixing bigger damage that would
Mhm.
typically end up going to a body shop and everything. So kind of as those worlds collide, it's really valuable for everybody to stay on kind of the bleeding edge of that,
Mhm.
and learn more and continue to educate yourself. But the OEM conversation is huge in body shops and collision shops, because when you have a repair that's done, a lot of people's insurance policies specify that the insurance company may cover aftermarket parts or used parts in order to perform those repairs. But the
Mhm.
reality is, pretty much almost every single manufacturer out there, every single one that I've looked into, so I don't
Mhm.
want to say every single one, but every single one that I've looked into has some sort of a position statement that says that they do not recommend any aftermarket or used parts for any repairs that are performed, because they cannot verify the safety
Mm-hmm.
and the quality of those parts.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a very strong thing to add to your toolbox and your repertoire, especially if you're comparing your repairs in a negotiation with
Mm-hmm.
insurance or a negotiation with the customer, to
Mm-hmm.
say, here are your options. Us with
Mm-hmm.
PDR, where we're restoring the original panel, we're not affecting your paint, we're not doing all of the typical PDR selling points, versus a replacement in a body shop, which would cost this if you're doing OEM, which is what all of your manufacturers require.
Mm-hmm.
Here's how the costs break down between the two of them. And here's, time wise on one versus time on the other. And even if you're replacing a part, an OEM part, great, it's an OEM part. You still have to paint that part, and you have to
Mm-hmm.
blend those parts, and you're causing diminished value on the vehicle when you're going in to sell it or trade it. There's all kinds of things. But yeah, OEM's a huge conversation in like body shops in the collision world right now, especially too, as OEM gets more and more expensive.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing too. Because this is how body shop cuts their cost. You know what I mean, as far as the repair, so that way there's more profit, right? So,
Mm-hmm.
but also those preferred body shop, when they work
Mm-hmm.
with the insurance company, they are pressured to keep a certain
Yep.
budget, and that's why
Yep.
with the customer, some customers or most customers, they don't know that they have an option to go to a facility that they choose. They don't necessarily have to go to a preferred um, body shop or provider that the insurance
Mm-hmm.
direct them to. I had a claim adjuster that was telling me, no, it's cheaper for me to just repair it rather than do PDR because of the estimate that you're giving me. And I'm like, and then so I had to like give him the points, and then he said, yeah, but I'm not paying that because I would prefer this car to go here, but you can't do that. And I had to like tell him it's illegal for you to convince your customer or your insured customer to go to your preferred facility because they want, they want to come to us. And then actually he was
Yeah.
like, did the customer say that? And I said, yeah, because we told them the difference, about the
Mm-hmm.
OEM and then the repair. And also when they go to body shops, they report automatically on Carfax.
Some of them,
Okay.
most of them, a lot of them do, because they've opted into like the Carfax network. They get additional benefits from that too.
Yes. So
Mm-hmm.
if you were to buy a car from Carfax, Carfax will say, "Oh, by the way, this car hasn't been hasn't been involved in any accident, first time owner." They know all that stuff. So if I'm a buyer and I'm buying a car from Carfax, they're going to see all of this stuff. So there's
Mm-hmm.
kind of like, you need to balance it. There's like a fine point here of whether you want to go here or you know what I'm saying? This is the tool that you
Mm-hmm.
can use as business owners for us to sell our service.
Mm-hmm.
Mary,
Um,
Absolutely.
when you're talking to insurance companies or an insurance adjuster, is there sometimes you have adjusters that are really really stern and by the book and they're not budging? Is there a point where you have to say, okay, I will contact the customer and they will contact you, because a lot of times their voice is louder than yours? But is there certain times where you have to do that?
Here's the thing. You have a point. So, sometimes their voices are louder than ours, but here's the thing. They're going to believe them if they are not educated.
Mm-hmm.
I have customers that have, that have told me, "Oh, he wants me to go here. He said that if I go to this facility, then they're going to do the estimate." And I said, if you drive your car to that facility, you make sure that they're just giving you an estimate that they are not repairing your car. Because if they somehow convince you to do the repair there, then there you go. I cannot, you know what I mean? There's no
Mm-hmm.
assurance that you're going to get this kind of repair.
Right.
So
Yeah.
it's all about educating the customers, because the customers don't know any of this information. But here's the thing though too. If you're going to sway the customer to go with you, make sure you got your 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 ducks in a row, that you're going to do a good job, because they're going to find a loophole to criticize your work. And if somehow you produce a less, I guess, satisfactory work to your customer and they go back to their insurance, well, guess what? You're going to lose your credibility. I mean, the thing is, you want to like, what's the word I'm looking for? You want to impress your customer. You want to do a good job so that way they will come back to you. You know what I mean? Because if you prove a different thing, otherwise they're like, oh, I should probably just I should probably just listen to my insurance company. That's why for me, when I know we can't repair it, then we're pretty much transparent about it. We can't repair it, go to a body shop, full body shop. You know what I mean? We're not going to try to repair something that we can't repair.
Right. And you want to create a perception. It's a perception versus reality thing. Your perception is you're going to do it right and you're going to do it great and just as good as the body shop, where the reality is you need to meet that perception, And so, Noah, I did want to ask you, do you only do hail damage claims or are you guys going to transition into like larger repairs that we can write up in Mobile Tech and then we can send it to you guys as well?
Yeah, we do all of that already. We kind of we kind of designed ourselves to most of our shops are actually retail shops. They're not even doing hail claims. So, but I guess our mentality is like, we want to be able to help every PDR company. So give you a little background for me. So I traveled to hail for 8 years. I didn't push dents. I was an R&I guy. So I was all about disassembling the cars. I've probably done between 8,000 and 10,000 cars myself, but I grew up in the PDR industry. My dad's been a technician for 25 plus years. So we would always run around. And I think I have like 6 fake uncles in the PDR industry that are all techs, like all over the place.
I like all the uncles because they have wisdom, probably.
Yeah. They're all phenomenal techs too. It's one of those things that it's kind of like the PDR industry that's like my family. It's like my home. So we really wanted to be able to serve all PDR companies. And for us, as it probably makes sense, we do we're on a per estimate basis. There's no subscriptions or anything like that. It's kind of like as you need us. I describe this as an as you need us service. So my mentality was, I want to be able to serve all PDR shops, specifically PDR shops, not body shops, not collision shops, PDR shops. We can help you service your like accounts with body shops and stuff. But with the idea, it's like the reality is you never know when hail's going to hit. So if you're already working with us doing retail stuff and you're used to the process, when hail hits, like all hell breaks loose and nobody knows what to do, I'd rather you be ready and working with us at that time so we can help you. It's going to be so much easier. So yeah, it's kind of a long answer to your question, but we definitely do a lot of retail stuff.
And what is the turnaround whenever a PDR company creates an estimate and sends it to you? What is the turnaround rate to when we get it back?
Sure, we do it within 1 day.
Say it again.
Within 1 business day. So you send an estimate over to us, and we have a kind of a cool process we worked out. Like, it's an automatic process. So you email that estimate like you would email it to anybody else, and we send you an automatic confirmation. It drops in our queue. We have like 12 estimators on standby, and we just kind of rotate through, and we knock out the estimates, and we'll get it back to you within 1 business day. It's usually a lot faster, but we just say it to be safe.
Nice.
You know what, guys? I am like so into the conversation, and I didn't know we have all these people saying hi to us. When it's the thing. It's like I have so many buttons to press here. It's like it's like Star Wars, ship. But anyway, so here it is. We have people here. Okay, sorry, I'm just going through it right now. But let me ask you, Noah, when you get a customer, who does the negotiating? Is it you or somebody from your team? Who talks to the insurance company?
So we don't talk to the insurance company right now. We do end up giving a lot of guidance in certain situations just because we experience, what's up, Andy? We experience a lot of just all kinds of different scenarios. And you'll see when you're writing so many claims and you're helping with so many claims, you start to see the commonalities, like the common talking points that insurance ends up coming back at. And so you see kind of just the common arguments that you have to combat. There's a number of things that you can do with that. We've touched on several of them already. So we're not handling the claims right now. Again, that's what we're trying to get over to, the
But you're gonna
claims
get to
management.
that point.
Yeah,
So,
on like an a la carte basis. Because
yeah.
what I don't want is we call all of the shops we work with our partners,
Uh-huh.
because that's what we see it as, is a lot more of a partnership. We're not trying to take over your operation. If you don't want us to do something, we don't want to do it. So if you need help with your estimating, if you need help with getting these estimates in a language that the insurance company understands, we can help
Mhm.
you with that. And then if we can help you to do claims and you manage it, I know a bunch of shops that are phenomenal at handling the insurance company that are probably not going to want to use us. And that's awesome. We just want
Mhm.
to do your estimates. But if
Mhm.
you need us, if things get busy and crazy, then absolutely, we're on standby. We're your partner. We're going to help you to do that. So,
Yeah. So well, so that's what I'm getting at. So let's say, I mean, do you already have like an idea that if they, let's say, hire you and say, hey, I don't want to deal with insurance companies because I'm so busy and I want to save my
mhm.
sanity. Can you advocate for us? So who's in your team going to be doing that? Is it you, or is it like, is there someone already delegated to handle that?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, I have some involvement, but we actually already have kind of like a small unit that's dedicated to that as we've been developing it out. My brother is the head of that actually. He's kind of like head of our claims department and
Hmm.
helping to develop that out. We have a very strong like technology background, so to
Hmm.
just try to help make an easier process for everybody.
Hmm.
And we've been really just organizing. There's a lot of logistics that you have to figure out when you're essentially a third party that's helping managing these claims. Because, for example, at some point, there's got to be a handoff, right? Like we
Hmm.
help to manage this claim and now it's approved, but we got to hand this thing back to you and we got to be able to basically brief you on everything that's happened up to this point and all of
Hmm.
the important information that's like, okay, this thing's ready to go. Here's the adjuster's contact information. Here's you getting you up to speed on and the conversations with that adjuster. Here's
Hmm.
all the expectations, as per whatever guideline we set at the beginning, and making sure everybody's on the same page. So it's been an interesting process, but we will be managing that. I have a lot of involvement in the, how would you want to say it, like laying the groundwork
Hmm.
and helping to navigate those conversations, just because I've had the most experience of anybody on our team. We actually also we started this process several months ago. So I think it was in November. We had
Hmm.
hired Paul Corden, who's a really good friend, and
Hmm.
he came out and we spent a whole day, like it was 8 or 9 hours. That's my brother. We spent
Hmm.
8 or 9 hours just talking about what are all these different aspects to claims management that are really important. How could we create like a really good solution that's going to be just a no-brainer for the industry to use, because
Hmm.
most people don't have much, if any, experience with claims, but
Hmm.
most people want to get into it and start
Hmm.
doing stuff with it. So
Hmm.
yeah, just a lot of considerations, making sure to get it right.
Yeah, well, that's where I think, I mean, yeah, we started as a PDR industry, but I think like what you said, and I saw it already that more and more people are trying to tap into like bigger repair, especially
Hmm.
the older I shouldn't say that. Well, because we're old, me and Mike are old, right? Okay. The
Nah.
older generation who's been in the business for so long and they can take bigger dents. So,
Hmm.
I mean, back in the old days when we first started, it was like the dents that we can probably take out is probably like a credit card size. And anything
Hmm.
bigger than that, because we also didn't have the tools, we wouldn't be able to probably do. But luckily, Mike is one of those a technician that he likes to challenge himself.
Hmm.
Every year he's like testing his skills. How much of a bigger dent can he take out? How much of this bigger dent qualify for PDR as opposed to taking it to a full body shop.
Mhm.
So
Hmm.
the I think older generation, if they're very experienced, they can take out bigger dents, and those are almost like collision stuff that back in the old days that people will take to a full body shop. So
Hmm.
right now we're like kind of like getting close to that. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
yeah. So
That and the tools and everything too. I mean, you got people doing some of the crazy glue pulling stuff, which is definitely more on the collision side, like with the Kiko and
hmm
whatnot. And
hmm
then shoot, watching like Bryce Kelly taking out some of the dents that he takes out is pretty wild as well. Like
hmm
it it's come a long, long way. Definitely a long, long way.
hmm
Mhm.
hmm yeah. Yeah, it's we're getting there, you know what I mean? And that it's
Yeah.
good to know that yeah, like even like the repairs that we've been doing in the past, you know, actually it's more lately we've been getting a lot of Rivian. And Rivian is the
Mm.
new electric truck that just came out, this year, and we're getting a lot of those. So because like the first time I saw it, I was like intimidated. I'm like, oh my gosh, this thing looks like it's like hard metal panel.
Uh-huh.
But if you don't know what you're doing, obviously you might like mess it up. But luckily, Mike is like, okay, let's be strategic on how are we gonna tackle this then. And then now, I think they have some kind of a Rivian club, or like group, something like that, somewhere that they talk about stuff. Because I remember the first customer we had, he didn't know where he would take his car. Actually, he drove 2 hours to get to us. He heard he heard about us, saw the kind of work we do. So he's like, okay, if I paid almost $100,000 on my car, I'm gonna take it to a good repair shop. And since we have a good reputation, they took it to us. And even with that guy, with that customer, he said, Mary, I gave your information to I think the marketing person that works for Rivian company, because they were having conversation. He's like, yeah, let me know where you're going to take your car, because it would be good to refer some Rivian customers to that company, which is us,
Right.
since we did a good job. Yeah.
Yeah, I think Mike has posted, seems like 4 or 5 Rivians with the dent in the same spot in the quarter panel back there. Him and Big John's plugging away on a Rivian. It seems like, almost the same spot.
Yeah. Yeah. Now those trucks is really nice.
Yes.
Because I'm just like, wow, and they're like they got some like power to it. You know what I mean? Like pretty fast for a truck.
Right.
So I was just like, but anyways, I'm excited to have you on our Mega Media event, Noah. And for anyone who's thinking of going to Mega Media, please don't forget, don't miss out this Mega Media event 6.0. It's gonna be in San Diego, June 1st to the 2nd, and then we're gonna have a tech meetup on the Saturday, which is June 3rd. Now, Kenny, we had we had you last year, and how was your experience? Just give us a rundown.
I was immediately blown away by how much knowledge that you guys give, because you guys have been in the PDR industry for a really, really long time, and you guys took all of that knowledge and kind of compressed it into 3 days, I think it was.
2 days.
And it was a
3 days,
lot
yeah.
of information. And as a matter of fact, there was a lot of people, and I wish I would have been doing it. I was on the sidelines taking notes, but there was a lot of people that were recording it with their phone, because there was so much information that you guys were giving, and it wasn't just PDR stuff. It was the business stuff, the online stuff, the how to talk to customers, how to be more efficient, how to be more effective, how to respond to customers quicker, how to communicate better. It's a wealth of knowledge that you guys were giving. And, I thought I was just coming, for a couple of online, pointers, but it turns out that it was much more than what I expected. You guys exceeded my expectations by far.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, since Mike and I, last year was the first time that I'm involved 100%. So I wanted to give you guys a little bit about some kind of like information that will scale and level up your business long term wise. This is not like something like a quick thing. Oh, okay, we're good for 2-3 years, and then after that we don't know where to go. You know what I mean? I want to be able to help you guys to level up your business and scale it long term.
Correct.
Not only that, a lot of people, and this is from me just talking to a lot of people. As you can see, I'm talkative. I can go to a stranger and start talking about anything. Doesn't matter what age they are, whether they're younger than me, older than me, or my age. I like talking to people, like wisdom, sharing information. But I wanted to, and this is what I noticed. People have problems with self-esteem, confidence. And if you're running a business, especially if it's your business, you have to be a leader. And that's why you have to have leadership skills to be able to know who to delegate for certain, responsibilities, how to get your team together and work towards the same goal, and then to even how to approach people and talk to people and sell your stuff. I mean, that comes from self-esteem. And I know some people, they're like, oh, I wanted to do this, but I just don't know if I can do it. That right there is like giving a lot of like being insecure, right? Or don't know how to like go about it. Or even like when you own a business and you have an idea, how do you even execute it properly so that way it will be successful? So I wanted to share that information to you guys, because for me, when we started the business, everything was very well thought of on my part, at least. I mean, and then with me and Mike, we always talk about whether it's our marketing, how do we even create the ad? There's a lot to that, and also the operation and hiring the people to be on our team. Those are all very well thought of. So I wanted to help people in our industry who's starting, so that way you guys don't have to like, oh, I did trial and error, and I had a lot of heartaches, trying to figure things out, and then hardship and this and that, when you guys can probably like learn from the actual people that's been there, done that already. You know what I mean?
Correct.
Yeah. And I'm excited for Noah to like talk more in depth about your service, Noah. And I can actually also talk a little bit about how to sell it to our customers, especially the ones that are hesitant. Because if they're hesitant to file a claim, then there's no business, right? So,
Correct.
yeah. So we're going to cover that. And then we're going to do like workshops too. Like we're going to have some workshops as far as like editing. There's going to be one for beginners and one for like advanced, like what Mike does. So this
That's
is
going to be amazing. I'm
yeah.
super excited about it because I'm going to learn a ton of stuff from it also. We don't do much advertising. Thankfully, we've been able to grow through like word of mouth stuff, but that's ultimately that's not enough. So I'm super stoked for pretty much everything that you said there, because I'm going to be able to take away a lot from it. It's like good opportunity for me there, and a good opportunity for me to come and share Dentops and everything. So I'm stoked.
Good. Because you know what? If advertising or marketing, there's more psychology into that too.
Oh yeah.
I mean, big companies, they spend a lot of money hiring marketing team to market their products or service. And even with that, not all marketers are the same. The ones that are thriving and the ones that, are like getting paid a lot of money, they are very strategic and very good at what they do psychology wise, because they can make something out of nothing, and they already know how to get into their to their clients' customers, so that way they can like level their business and grow more. So I'm so glad that you guys are here and took the time to be with with me today and all our listeners. And San Diego, get ready, guys. I'm also gonna from here on, because like me and Mike is actually my techie person. He's supposed to create a marketing ad for us, and we're getting there. We're just prioritizing right now, so that way we can lead you guys to like a spot of where to click and sign up. Now, before that, I just want to say that I think I'm going to also put something out there of where you guys can stay, so I can make it easier for you guys, like what I did most of the time when we had Mega Media. I will direct you guys of where to go as far as hotels that are affordable. I'm going to negotiate that with the hotel, as far as hotel rates, so that way it's not too much.
Right.
That'd
So
be awesome.
Start paying attention. Yeah. Well, I appreciate you too.
Thank you. Absolutely. Mary, are you Filipino, by the way?
I'm half.
You're half Filipino? Okay,
Yeah.
we have a few Filipinos on our team, and
No
so
way.
they asked me. They're like, we think that Mary's Filipino, so they asked me to say to you, is it mabuhay?
Mabuhay.
Mabuhay.
Mabuhay means welcome. So,
there you go.
So when you say you have Filipino in your team, are you talking about here, or you're talking?
We have some in the Philippines.
Oh, okay. I'll tell you what, Noah. The Filipinos, they're very, very detail oriented when it comes to documents, and you have to in your business.
Yeah.
Because Even the DMV here, we go to the DMV and Mike said, "Is that person Filipino?" And I said, "Yeah." "Oh, how come there's so many Filipinos working at the DMV?" Because DMV, they deal with a lot of documents, paperwork, right? And
Mhm.
in the Philippines, it's in the culture that you need to be detail oriented, because if you don't and you miss something, then they won't approve anything that you're applying for.
Mm,
So whether you're applying for
gotcha.
passport, you're applying for a visa to go abroad, they want to prove it. So they're very meticulous when it comes to that.
Well, our guys are amazing, and they're the nicest people ever, and they're amazingly hard workers, and we love them. So
Oh, that's good. Yeah, I have Filipino listeners too in the Philippines. Like, yeah. Oh, look, somebody's waving. I don't know. This one looks like Japanese too. I don't know. This is not Filipino. This is not Tagalog. Well, I'm excited because you know what? I would probably, for all those people or attendees that's going to be here, guess what I'm going to bring? Pancit.
Oh, let's
So
go.
we're going to have pancit and egg
Oh,
rolls. Right, Kenny? I mean, when
Hey,
we were in Texas, we had the food. We
yes,
provided the
I
food so you
do.
guys don't have to leave. Yeah.
That's the actually, I'm not even coming for the information. I'm coming for the food.
I love it.
So,
Oh, there's Jama. Jama, do you guys know Jama is someone we train and he's in Taiwan right now?
oh wow,
We
I need to
train
come
him.
visit him.
Yeah, we trained him to do PDR, went back to Taiwan, and now he started his business and now he's training too.
Wow.
He is good.
Mm.
He is the top 1% that as far as what we who we've trained.
Bring the
So
food, Jay. Come on to Mega Media. Let's go.
if you go to Taiwan, they will take care of you. They bring all the food too. So
Okay.
but anyways, okay. So
Thank
I
you
think
for
we're gonna
having me, Mary. It's an honor and a privilege. And I was really, really enthused. I was really, really happy that you invited me on to the podcast, and it is an absolute privilege and honor to be here. So thank you.
Oh, thank
Yeah,
you. Hey, Noah, I
likewise.
think this
Yeah,
is your team. We are the team.
Oh, look at that.
yeah, that's
How come
right.
it's
I
how
know
come
some
it's
of them
in
are
that
tuning in live.
writing?
I
Why is
couldn't
it in
tell
that
you.
writing? I can't read that.
I don't know.
But that's good. Okay. Well, I'm
Yeah,
excited.
yeah, me
Oh,
too. Yeah,
and
thank you so much for having me on as well.
no problem. Hi, Jay. We should do like Taiwan again, Jay. Come to Taiwan, do work with, collaborate.
The next MME 7.0, we're going to Taiwan.
That'd be pretty crazy.
Hey, that would be cool. But the problem is the equipment.
Okay.
Our photographer, which is also our friend, he's very, very particular about the equipment. He doesn't want it damaged because some of his
Mm,
equipment they don't make anymore.
Is he going to be
mm.
there this year?
Oh yeah, this same
Okay.
one.
David, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
David.
Okay.
Hey, okay, so Jayma said no problem. Yes, okay, good idea. Well,
Let's
guess
go.
what, Noah, you might come to Taiwan to get
Hey, I'll go to
the
Taiwan.
Asian community.
Absolutely.
Okay, cool. Bye.
All right, bye. I'm told
Bye,
to say
guys.
salamat.
Salamat po.